In the Impact segment tonight, Pope Benedict is in Turkey tonight, his first trip to a Muslim country. Predictably, there were some protests because the Pope quoted some ancient ruler who said a negative thing about the Prophet Muhammad. You all remember that controversy. In the Muslim world, dissent does not go down real well and can lead to violence. There was no violence today as far as we can tell, but we've seen scenes like this over and over and over again. Also here in the USA, the Washington Times reports that 6 Muslim clerics expelled from a U.S. air flight last week were acting suspiciously. Joining us now from Washington, Nihad Awad, the Executive Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Let's get to the Pope first. When are you guys, and I say this with all due respect because you are a stand-up guy, but on a program, when are you guys going to turn your criticism and your ire onto your own and say, hey, listen, in the Muslim world, you got to knock off the violence when the cartoons come down, when the Pope quotes some ancient ruler. You got to knock it off. We're living in a world here where we should have intelligent dialogue on religion and everything else. When are you guys going to try to marginalize the fanatics that are really ruining Islam's image in the world? When are you going to do that?
Bill, the more you bring people like me on and hear our point of views, you will get mainstream point of view from the Muslim community. And what little cameras, including Fox and other cameras, show of the Muslim world, that does not show and reflect the entire reality. During the cartoon controversy, we have condemned the violence and we asked for constructive dialogue and meaningful response to the cartoon, to the defamation of Prophet Muhammad. And we have conducted campaigns here, educational campaigns, and we have been engaged in interfaith dialogue and constructive relationship. When it came also to the Pope, we asked for an open dialogue and sincere dialogue that's based on mutual understanding and mutual respect.
Okay, so the Pope responds to that, and he goes to Turkey, and then you have the pictures that we just showed you. There they are with the fire, and we hate the Pope, and all of that. So okay, instead of criticizing the Pope, which you have not done, well, you have not done that. Why don't you criticize these people?
Hold on. We criticized the Pope.
Well, you criticize what he said, not who he is. These people are criticizing who he is. Why don't you criticize these people?
We did. And if you follow our statements, we condemn and criticize irrational behavior that we believe is not Islamic. It does not reflect the Islamic teachings and Islamic spirit, and even the character of Prophet Muhammad, which I think the Pope in his statement misrepresented. But having said that, I think the Pope has taken a positive step towards visiting Turkey. There is a reciprocation. The Turkish government and the highest clergy in Turkey are receiving him well. But also, the protests were not violent. We have protests in the United States. We tolerate that as long as they're not violent.
Yeah,
and
well,
they do
in the
not
United States, there's very few Muslims here, and most of them are good, law-abiding people, and we don't have a Muslim problem in the United States. We do have a Muslim problem worldwide. Now, here's a very simple question for you.
And hold on. Can I answer that?
What? You don't have a Muslim problem in the USA. What do you want to answer?
Well, also, we do not have a problem in the Muslim world as long as our foreign policy is fair. Look what we did in Iraq.
You got a huge problem in the Muslim world, and that's my question for you. Come on, Mr. Awad. Look, 75% of all the violence in the country is caused by Muslims. 75% of it. Now, how do you explain that?
Okay, I will explain to you. In Iraq, the United States government started the problem and created this mess. Before that,
Saddam Hussein was a brutal dictator, murdering his own religion. And come on, he invaded Kuwait, a Muslim country, murdered everybody there. Don't be blaming the United States for Saddam Hussein.
But we created this big mess in Iraq, and Iraq has become the center of violence and terrorism. You cannot deny that. The majority of Americans
The center of violence and terrorism is Iran. Iran is a Muslim country that's exporting... Iran is exporting violence, and Al-Qaeda is exporting violence all over the world, and they're your co-religionists.
The violence is taking place in Iraq because of our own making, the U.S. government's making.
Bull, that's bull, and you know it. It's Iran and Al-Qaeda fueled.
Well, the majority of Americans are telling the president and Republicans we're wrong by invading Iraq.
They're wrong because they're not winning the situation, not the invasion.
Okay. You know, let's not blame other people for our own mistakes.
Hey, I'm going to give you one more shot at it. 75% of all the violence in the world is coming out of the Muslims. Why?
Check the statistics. Robert Pape, the author of Dying to Win, will disagree with you. He will tell you that most suicide bombings are not religious based and they're not done by Muslims.
Almost all the terrorism in the world is being caused by Muslims. That's the truth. You don't know why.
That's according to you, and I think you're biased when it comes to this point.
Yeah, that's according to me. What are you, living in all right. All right, Mr. Awad, if you're not buying that most of the terrorism in the world is coming out of the Muslim community, I don't know what to tell you. And I appreciate you being on.
I think you're wrong.
All right, you can think I'm wrong. Go.
You're wrong.
Fine.
It's obvious that you're wrong.
Fine.
And many like
I know the Japanese are doing it, or the Australians are doing it. I know.
Fair-minded people will disagree with you. That's my point.
All right.